What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Gumi's Shotgun Fun Time. As you know, Raven Software had went and buffed the Vanguard shotguns in Warzone recently, and I covered the last three shotguns, the double barrel, the Einhorn, and the combat, in my last three videos. Of those, I can tell you that the combat shotgun didn't really change, except for a couple barrels got better range. The Einhorn did get a little bit more damage, so that's more effective and has a better magazine size. Then the double barrel also got a buff for its defender barrel, so now it's probably the best barrel to use. Now, what about the Gracey Auto? I know a lot of people are wondering, is this thing any more viable now? And I can confirm, yes, it is a bit more viable now, but there's a catch. There's a few things we have to go over. So today's video is all about the Gracey Auto, one of the most overlooked shotguns in Warzone. Now, there's a reason it's often overlooked, because it's just not really viable as a primary weapon. Even with these buffs that I'm going to talk about, or well, mostly just a buff, not really buffs, it's more viable than ever, but it's still not that great. So let's just get into the stats and what exactly changed. So for the base gun, there's a max damage range of about 3.6 meters. In that range, you can 3-tap, right? Which isn't very good considering its fire rate. The fire rate for this gun in Warzone is about 231 rounds per minute as taken from sim.gg. So credits to them. I know they're the ones that got the stats. So I'll post a link to that site in the description below. So credit to them, but 231 rounds per minute. What that means is your time to kill in that max damage range of about 3.6 meters is about 427 milliseconds. That's pretty good. That's not bad. The only problem I have with this gun is that it's very inconsistent. So after that range, it takes about 4 shots to kill up until about 7.7-ish meters. Then after that, it's a 5-shot kill, and it's really not good at that point. Plus, considering the base gun only has 5 rounds, it's really tough to make this thing work. But okay, now that we have the base stats out of the way, what exactly changed? Well, Buck and Slug is the main thing I want to talk about here, right? Because with Buck and Slug, as you know, you lose 4 pellets, but you get a slug, and you can do a little bit more damage. Now, before this buff, it seemed that Buck and Slug could 2-shot headshot in the max damage range, but it still took 3 body shots to kill at that range, so you had the same time to kill, and it was a little inconsistent. Since it's Buck and Slug, you lose those 4 pellets. It's very hard to hip fire with this gun, which I never recommend aiming down sights, by the way. Always hip fire this gun. But whenever you hip fire this thing, it just really was tough to use at any range past maybe 5 meters. So what's the big deal? Is it any better now? Yes, and the reason for that is because with Buck and Slug in particular, you can now 2-shot kill to the chest. That means that you don't have to hit a headshot to get a 2-shot kill in its max damage range. Just hit the chest area, which is really a lot easier than hitting a headshot, let's be honest. What are the implications of that? Well, basically, now you can 2-tap in that max damage range of 3.6 meters with Buck and Slug to the chest, and your time to kill goes down to about 260 milliseconds. That is blazing fast. That's actually one of the fastest time to kills we have. It's getting up there with the Jack 12 and the Origin 12 with slugs, and it's just completely insanely strong up close, of course, as it should be. Now, the real kicker with this is that we can get that time to kill to be even faster with that rapid fire barrel. If you don't know, the rapid fire barrel takes your rate of fire up to about 288 rounds per minute. That's a really big difference, and it makes a really good difference with that time to kill, because now our time to kill for 2 shots is effectively 208 milliseconds. That is insane. That is one of the fastest time to kills in all of Warzone. That's up there with the Jack 12 and the Origin 12 with slugs. I'm telling you, that is on par. It's really good. Now, of course, it's really hard to make this work because the gun is a little finicky and you only have 5 rounds. But what I like to do is, instead of running the 7-round mag or the 10-round mag, which really hurt your rate of fire, I use extra pellets, because with Buck and Slug, as you know, you lose 4 pellets, but extra pellets gives you 2. This is really key to making your gun more consistent, because this is a gun you don't want to aim down sights as much as you want to, because it's just awful to aim down sights with this thing. It bounces all over the place, really hard to control. But since you don't aim down sights, you have to rely on hip firing, and hip firing with only basically 5 little projectiles can be really tough to do. It's really difficult to get right, especially anywhere past like 4 meters. It's a pain in the ass, especially if you're sliding around and your hip fire reticle is like even wider than it normally is. So that's why I recommend running extra pellets, because that really makes things a lot more consistent. Instead of losing 4 pellets, you now have only 2 missing, and trust me, it makes a big difference. You don't want to be using this thing outside of like 5 meters anyway. So that's why I like this thing, and that's why I think you should be running Buck and Slug with extra pellets. And I'm telling you guys, up close, there is very little the enemy can do to stop you. If you have those 5 rounds and you're challenging someone one-on-one and you're in that range, oh my god, you will absolutely just delete them from existence. I'm not even kidding. This thing always surprises me how effective it is when you're at that close range. I mean, people are like, what the hell is he using? They think I'm using like a street sweeper, and I just laugh, and I'm using the Gracey Auto, which is something they're probably like, how the hell did he do that? So I'm telling you, do not sleep on that. It is really, really good. But there's a few things to keep in mind. The most obvious thing is you're not using a magazine, and you only have 5 rounds. So this thing isn't really a great primary weapon for that reason. This is a god tier secondary weapon in my opinion, but as a primary, it falls a little flat because of the really limited range and because you basically need to switch to a different weapon after you get 1 kill if you're playing anything with like duos or trios. It makes this really hard to handle. So I've been treating it as sort of a secondary, using an MP5 as like a primary and then using this as a secondary. It's still really effective. Just know that if you run this setup that I recommend, which I still think you should, it's going to be a little tough to manage. Now, you could run that 7-round mag. That's definitely going to help, right? But the issue with that is it lowers your rate of fire. And in fun fact, it actually lowers your rate of fire if you have the rapid fire barrel on and that 7-round mag. They basically cancel each other out and you get the same default rate of fire that you had before. So it's not awful. It's just that you also lose those 4 pellets, and this is a hip fire gun, like I said. So it's still just very inconsistent, and buck and slug with extra pellets is easily the most consistent way to run this gun. And to be honest, don't even bother with the 10-round mag. It slows it down so much. It's just awful, and I can't stand it. So I really don't recommend that at all. Now, in terms of what else changed for this gun, I really can't find anything else. Incendiary is really not that good anymore. It's still okay. You can almost 2-shot up close, I noticed, but it's not quite consistent. It doesn't always work even without EOD on, so I don't really recommend it. Also, the 3-shot kill range isn't really that good. It only goes up to about like, I don't know, 6.5 meters or something. Really wasn't that good. Buck and slug is really the way to go, and just really stay close here. Now, what about the best class? What do I recommend? Well, we know that we want to run extra pellets in buck and slug and the rapid fire barrel, but then we want to focus on the hip fire accuracy. That is the most essential part to focus on. So we have the full choke, the removed stock, which is basically just going to help us with movement speed. It's not so much for the hip fire accuracy, so you can swap that out for something that helps hip fire accuracy if you want. But then we have the pine tar grip and the pistol grip, which, like I said, are going to help with the hip fire accuracy. For the perk, I choose Gung Ho. That's essential for me. But another really great perk that you could run is Spotter. That's going to give you a max damage range of about 4 meters. It actually does increase your range, so it's not bad. But since you're going to be focusing on the hip fire, you're not going to be able to focus on sprint to fire speed, so I just go with Gung Ho instead. But discard, also a really good attachment. It's going to help you get your reload out a little bit quicker. And then for perk 2, I just use quick. That's pretty much an essential one for shotgun since you want to be quick. Now, overall, my thoughts on this gun, like I was saying, this is definitely a gun you want to be using as a backup. This is one of the few that really, it's an insane monster up close, but it's just as a primary weapon falling flat because of the really small magazine size to make it this effective. I wish that you could use that 7-round mag and not have a penalty to your fire rate, because that would make it even better, and I think definitely more viable and one of the best shotguns in the game, I think. But as it stands, it's very niche, and it is very, very strong, and I definitely recommend trying it out. But overall, it's still very niche, and it's probably best as a secondary weapon to accompany another shotgun or just an SMG like an MP5. You really can't go wrong with an MP5, to be honest. So that's my video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you learned something different and new about this gun today. It's definitely an overlooked shotgun for a few good reasons, but this setup, honestly, it's one of the most high-risk, high-reward setups in Warzone just because of the limited mag size and how effective this can be. That 200 millisecond time to kill is nothing to joke about. It's seriously, seriously strong. So give it a shot and let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this gun? Is there any other shotgun attachments or shotguns I should check out? And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.